Are live on YouTube as well. Bev, what's going on? How you doing? All right, hey YouTube, what's going on? This is your guy Benaggio, and today we're talking Bitcoin. All right, so we're going to share our screen real quick for all those who are following us on Instagram. What's going on? How are you? We want to share screens. If you have not joined us on YouTube before, you need to just click the link in the bio, and you will be able to join us on YouTube. And that is how we're going to share some information with you. So today we talk about Bitcoin. Now, this subject has been one of the things that we've talked about on Wealth Wednesdays before. I think it is important to call a spade a spade. Let me make sure that this microphone is close enough to my mouth. Call a spade a spade. We want you to think of your financial, plan in your journey as like a regular journey. You take steps towards your goal, right? And in prior conversations on this channel, we would talk about Bitcoin and blockchain and cryptocurrencies and where they fall in our hierarchy of things that you should be doing with your money. So we're going to have a really nice, close, deep dive on what Bitcoin's doing, because again, one of the indicators for me to determine whether or not this is something serious and we got to start looking at this as regular investors is when we can actually apply the Bitcoin that we have in our hand to purchase goods and services in our community, in our neighborhood, in our city, on vacation. That was one of the things that we were saying that we need to wait for. And prior to this Wealth Wednesday, I didn't really know as much as I do right now about the actual usage of Bitcoin. So we're going to go over what Bitcoin's doing. We're going to go over its pricing. We're going to go over, how it's mined, which countries are the top miners for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. We're going to talk about what it's valued at, why its value is increasing, and the application of Bitcoin. Now, full disclaimer, I do not own a dime of Bitcoin. Just so straight up the bat, I don't own a dime of it. So I like having this conversation and starting off with that because you don't have to own anything to know about it. In the school of thought that we have when it comes to investments, it's like, I didn't own shares of stocks, but I investigated on them. I researched them. I understood what markets I wanted to go into, and then boom, I would jump into that market. So same goes for Bitcoin, any other asset. We got to make sure that we're knowledgeable about them first before we get into it. And I think based on what I've researched today, I will be gaining a position in blockchain, Bitcoin, mining. I'm going to try and get into all of it because it's going to make sense for us long term. So folks, just want to give a quick rundown. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about its history, what it's doing, and why it's now becoming something that we need to register on our investment scale. So first things first, Bitcoin began, we'll go to the beginning. It was invented by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. And then the source code was released to the public in 2009. So January 3rd, 2009 is when the first Bitcoin was mined. Back then, the process was pretty rudimentary. You would go in, you'd guess a blockchain password, you would have mining software. And by you doing that and creating another block, they would compensate you with Bitcoin for that. So it was essentially like mining, like you're literally doing work. You're spending electrical current, you're spending computer power, all that stuff to literally discover an actual code that will work in the blockchain, and you're like increasing the network. So think of it as you are putting down the groundwork for a network. Like think of like telecommunications, or think of like your cell phone towers, right? The more cell phone towers that you have in a certain city, the more people can go back and forth on the network in a very fast pace, right? Bitcoin's kind of like that. If I were to just break it down into like a regular level, people are literally mining, which is they're literally putting up telephone poles throughout their little areas, and the more poles they put up, they get compensated for it. And once you put up enough, you're gonna get money for each pole that you put up, and that's gonna go into your bank. That's kind of a like really based down version of how the mining process was kind of going on in 2009. And I think last week we talked about GPUs, graphic processing units. That was usually used for computer software and gaming, and that was literally turned into the software that folks were using to actually mine Bitcoins. So that was kind of a really cool transition to see how something that was used for gaming can then be converted to be used to literally help process code and blockchain. Now, when we say code and blockchain, what are we talking about? So every time Bitcoin is mined, a blockchain is created. So think of the Bitcoin as the end product, and a blockchain is the process that it took to get it there. So every time you mine it, you're creating more and more blockchains. And that's kind of how the whole system kind of is built. Um, so when you think of other cryptocurrencies, and some of them are very different, where the mining isn't as so Bitcoin has this thing, and I'll explain it this way. For every mined Bitcoin that comes into creation, the ability to do it, like the code gets harder. So the more people that are mining Bitcoin, the harder the code gets, to the point where you won't be able to mine any more Bitcoin, if that makes any sense. Now, not every cryptocurrency is like that. Like there are others like Ethereum, which is just like consistently going to mine a certain amount every single day, no matter what. Like, and it's an open thing. It's going to keep mining more and more Ether coins. Like that's just a thing. Bitcoin isn't like that. Literally, the code gets more difficult, which means it's harder and harder to actually create new Bitcoins the longer you go, which creates a supply and demand issue, because the demand for it is not, I mean, the supply for it is limited. Like you're not going to get more of them. And that's going to kind of allow the price to go up. Because if you know about demand, like regardless of demand, if supply is short, the price associated with whatever the supply is short of is going to be high, right? Whether demand's high or not, like the price of it's going to be high because it's now a scarce resource. Think about when the pandemic happened, you were trying to get hand sanitizer and paper towels, right? You saw the price of hand sanitizer go from like $1 to literally $10. Like they were really gouging us because, again, the supply was low, folks needed it, the demand was high, and just like that, the price is going to be fluctuating because of that. So let me give you some stats on Bitcoin that I've researched. And this is why, you know, when we do this, like, again, it doesn't take a rocket science to go and just research Bitcoin and figure out what it's doing. You can literally do it on your computer. Just check out YouTube and say, hey, Bitcoin, and see what's going on. So I am going to actually, before I go in there, for all those who are following us on YouTube, our nonprofit called The Way, we recently received some donations this week. And I definitely want to take a shout out to those who actually took the time to go to our website and donate. So Sam, appreciate you donating. You know, Chevy, I know I've ever said it before, but I really appreciate you for donating as well. And, you know, we're going to kind of go down the list of all the folks that have donated, because, again, those things are helping us to create more content. And, again, the end all goal is for us to create a program for kids to teach them how to invest. So that's the nature of it. So if you are interested, and if you find any value in the content that we're, you know, sharing here today, feel free to go to our website, donate, and allow us to utilize those dollars to create programs for kids, because that's the end all be all goal for all of this. Okay, so just so you know, today we're going to be talking about Bitcoins. We're going to talk about cryptocurrencies. We're talk about its security. We're going to talk about how, you know, everything to do crypto, and then we're going to go into some stock picks. Quick public service announcement. So a lot of you who are invested in cannabis stocks, I want to just say quickly for you, you saw it get hammered this week, and that's okay. I want you to be comfortable. Be comfortable knowing that this is a long-term game. We're not playing this short-term. This is a long-term game. On my Twitter, I recently posted an article that talked about the actual cannabis industry. Right now, it's around $30 billion in value. And over the next 3 years, that industry is going to grow to about $107 billion from $30 billion. So literally it's going to grow by $70 billion. And that means that the players in that industry are going to then see values in their stock prices, because, again, you're opening up the market to a whole bunch of people. So, like, when we talk on Wealth Wednesday, we're going to kind of dip in that back and forth. So it's crypto today, but I just kind of want to stay relevant with that as well, because for all of you who saw your prices drop, just stick with the plan. Stick with the plan. Do not get emotional. Understand that right now you're able to accumulate more shares at a low price. Take this as an opportunity to buy. It's very simple. There is a couple of mergers happening in the cannabis space, and I'll give you one stat as to why I think that we have to continue to keep our eye on the cannabis market. So over 65 population, so in America, if you're over 65, I think the number was 42% of those individuals have never used a cannabis product, right? Now, there's another, I think it's 44% of them have never even heard of cannabis products. So 42 has never used it. 44 have never heard of it. Population over 65 in America. Why that's important? They're the population that's going to get the most benefit from some of the cannabinoid, the endocannabinoid system that is going to be kind of on the front lines of the cannabis space. It literally helps with regulating your body, pain therapy. If you have any sort of hypertension, not hypertension, if you're like hyper, or you have like ADHD type things, it'll cool you down. Like, there are a lot of actual medical benefits to cannabis and having it in your system. Not about smoking weed, literally just about the drips of the cannabinoid, the endocannabinoid system. It needs it in your body. So this population over 65 is going to be the population that gets the most benefit out of it, and they have never heard of it or used it. That in and of itself means that as an economist, I'm looking at that and saying it might make sense to get into the endocannabinoid space. If you've never heard of endocannabinoids, if you've never heard of that system in your body, if you've never heard of what cannabinoids can do in your body, I want you to go to my Twitter, and there's an article on there that talks all about it. There's an actual TED Talk, and I can pull it up. Actually, I'll pull it up on YouTube right now if you're following. But it is an amazing piece of information. I think that everyone should know about it, and that's why that space is going to grow. And they're actually talking about looking at cannabis drinks and infusing different beverages with cannabinoids. That way, you can still get all of the health benefits from the actual drips of the the cannabinoids in those drinks without any of the harmful effects. So it doesn't have to be, it can be 0 calorie. It can be, soda. It can be beer. Like, they're looking to expand the entire market of this. So just keep your eye on the price. And I don't care if the price goes down for your cannabis stocks this week, buy some more. Because again, this is the industry that's going to grow from 30 billion to $100+ billion in the next 3 years. We're not even talking a long time. We're talking by 2024. This is the projections. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right, so back to our initial conversation. So we're going into our talk about Bitcoin. So let's go to Yahoo Finance as we normally do, finance.yahoo.com. All right, and we can go to, and I'm sharing my screen. So for all of you who are following on here, you can go onto the YouTube, click the link in the bio, and just follow over. You'll see the YouTube feed. We're going to go to cryptocurrencies. How's everyone doing today, by the way? This is an open conversation, so I can. Beijing Cutie, what's up? What's going on? We got some folks in the house. Tice, what's up? Janelle, what's going on? Majesty Queen. Brooklyn Boyd, what's up? Kung Pao, how you doing? Fiaz, what's going on, brother? Terry Ann, what's up? I buy something. Yeah, you're gonna buy something. It's fine. All right, so no questions yet. Folks, while you're in the chat, if you have any stock symbols that you want us to look up while we're doing this, please feel free to put that in there. What we'll do is we'll look them up real time at the end once we get through all of our Bitcoin information. Okay, so I'm looking for crypto and I'm not seeing it here. Okay. All right. Boom, here we go. So right now, Bitcoin is trading at $50,792.75 as of right now. If I look at the chart on Bitcoin, and if you're not following us on YouTube, you can't see any of this, but we have our charts up, you know how we do. All right, so over the last 6 months, Bitcoin's been trading, in September of last year, it was trading at $11,000 per coin. $11,000 was the price per coin. And now it's trading at 50,000. So literally it's gone up by 5 times its value from back then. And that to me is why, and if you're looking at the chart, that is a pretty significant growth pattern. Now, with any investment, regardless of if it's Bitcoins, if it's stocks, if it's bonds, whatever it is, the value of that is really dependent upon whoever's willing to buy it, right? So if you have 11,000 Bitcoins in October 19th of 2020, if you have, 1 Bitcoin at that price and it's growing to 50,000 now, there is literally someone that's buying that from you for $50,000 right now, right? So that's how that works. So no matter what you're invested in, if you don't believe in Bitcoins, if you believe that it's a farce and it's not going to work, well, you still had an investment that went from $10,000 to $50,000 in the span of 4 months, right? You can cash out and make that money regardless of what your beliefs are. So stocks of any kind, regardless of what they are funded by, the value is within the community of people who want to buy and sell them. So if you're not really trusting Bitcoin for its actual use in public, which we're going to talk about in a little bit right now, just trust the fact that it's actually been growing pretty significantly, and the news cycle definitely impacts Bitcoins. So you'll hear like when Tesla, bought Bitcoins, the price shot up. And there's certain different news cycle articles that literally talk to owners of Jeff Bezos' involvement with Bitcoin. Like all of those things have impacted the price literally directly. So it's definitely volatile right now, but it's steadily moving in a certain direction. If you look at the chart right now, we're looking at the 6-month chart, and it's growing like a monster. So that's pretty important to note. As for the notes, and let's get into the notes on Bitcoin, right? I'll leave that screen up for you guys so you can take a quick look at that. As for the notes, so it was invented in 2008. 2009 is when the first Bitcoin was mined, and it's been mined like that ever since. Right now, the total number of Bitcoins is in excess of 18.3 million, capping out at 21 million. That's going to be the total number of Bitcoins that will ever be produced at 21 million Bitcoins. Now, only 13 million Bitcoins are in circulation right now. And the reason for that is because 4 million of them were lost due to the death of the owners and the loss of private keys. So Bitcoins, and you're like, let's say you own Bitcoin right now. If you forget your password, those coins are gone. If you die and the password hasn't been transferred to somebody else and they don't have that key, that money is gone. So the security of it is within that little parameter of, if you don't know your password, and there have been folks who have literally lost millions in Bitcoin because they forgot their passwords or they died, that accounts for the difference between what's in circulation right now and the total amount of Bitcoins ever mined. Now, to give you some numbers, there are 13 million Bitcoins in circulation right now. There are 350,000 transactions on the Bitcoin network daily. Let me say that again. There is an average of 350,000 transactions on the Bitcoin network daily. So this stuff is moving. It's not as if like this is just in a silo somewhere. Globally, there are 7,722 Bitcoin ATMs around the world, and Coinbase exchanges, which is where you can sell and trade different coins, they have over 30 million users. 200 million Bitcoin wallets are in existence today across the global, right? How many of you knew that? 200 million Bitcoin wallets exist. Like, so what's happening is I'm seeing that there is an uptick in folks understanding that they want to have their hand in this. And the reason why Bitcoin is interesting and why, you know, we're talking about it today is because it's the first of many other types of cryptocurrencies, but it's the main player. You know, they consider it in their industry, the gold standard is Bitcoin. And all of the other ones are different versions of that. So everything is kind of pegged against Bitcoin. So whatever Bitcoin does, the rest will follow. So if Bitcoin has a lot of ATMs and countries are now adopting it, and you know, ATMs available, merchants are using it. If that's happening with Bitcoin, it's going to start trickling down to all of the other cryptos. That's just how it works. So how Bitcoin moves, everyone will move. Now, let me give you another stat. Right now, China, of all the places right now, China owns 75% of the global mining network. Okay, 75%. Now, why is it that China owns that much when it comes to the mining of crypto or Bitcoin? So why do they own that? Because you go to a place to mine Bitcoin, it takes a lot of electricity, and you need to get that at a cheap rate. So reasons why they're saying that China is because it's very cheap to get electrical power over there, number one. Between China and the United States, those are the two major miners of Bitcoin in the world. That's alarming. You know why? Because it's like, if we're looking at the way that the nations are moving and how countries are moving, China is definitely a main player. They're not playing games. Look at their EV comparisons with Tesla. Look at NIO. Look at all the other ones that they have. The fact that they're now 75% in mining networks, like they're the ones mining Bitcoins globally, like all of these things are important things to note. Let me pin that comment. Important things to note, like they're literally on the front end of mining coins. Now, to give you how this impacts the world, because again, we needed to see how Bitcoin is moving across the world. If it's being used by individuals and merchants, that's what's going to make the biggest difference, right? So right now, New York has 117 Bitcoin ATMs and 36 stores that actually accept Bitcoin. Didn't know that. Tampa, Florida has 45 ATMs, currently Bitcoin ATMs, and 48 merchants that accept payment through Bitcoin. San Francisco has 111 ATMs. And we can keep going down the list. Tel Aviv, 2 ATMs, 24 merchants. Buenos Aires, 11 ATMs, 100 merchants accept that. Zurich, 10 ATMs, 35 businesses. Amsterdam, 30 merchants, 12 Bitcoin ATMs. London, England, where we have some of our folks from Black Women on Code. Y'all have 130 Bitcoin ATMs and 104 merchants that accept payment through Bitcoin. That is what we were waiting for. We were literally waiting to see companies, countries starting to take hold of this movement and actually put their foot in it. So Bank of New York Mellon, they've put their foot in Bitcoin. PayPal is partnering with them. Apple Pay, most recently was Tesla. If this trend continues, I'm thinking we're going to have a conversation about crypto, because as Bitcoin moves, the rest of them will follow. Now, let's look at, and then let's go to our screen here. Let's look at some cryptocurrencies, and I think I have them pulled up. Let me just pull that up. Here we go. Let's go back. So right now, by market cap, cryptos are as follows. We have 946 billion market cap for Bitcoin, followed by Ethereum, which is at $189 billion in market cap, followed by Binance Coin, which is at 40 billion, Tether, which is at 34 billion, Cardano, 32 billion, Polkadot, Litecoin, Chainlink, Stellar, Dogecoin, which was started off as a joke, and I'm glad that it's still making money on Dogecoin. Folks are making money on that. So you're seeing a lot more of these coins coming live. And here's the thing: consider cryptocurrency like credit cards, right? You have your MasterCards, your American Express, your Discover. If companies are accepting one, the chances are they're going to accept some of the others, depending on the size of the networks that those have. One of the things in the community when it comes to cryptocurrency, folks consider Bitcoin the gold of cryptocurrency, and they consider Ethereum, sorry, I gotta say it right, Ethereum as the oil. So gold and oil standards, right? Ethereum is a different type of crypto. So they allow for folks to build on their platform when it comes to, like you can literally build on their network. And what that means is, like, let's say that the way we want to create a network and we want to engage in crypto, right? We could literally build our website and our entire products, like our products, if we're offering a product, we can literally build that entire payment structure on Ethereum's platform and just accept payments through that network. So like they have an open source code where they allow for you to literally build your business model through it and allow payments to be received back and forth through it. So there are a lot more, a lot of folks are going to be using that to create platforms in the future. So having a little bit of that or Bitcoin, again, those are going to be the types of the first round of this, and you can tell that just by the market cap. You can see how many people are actually buying into this. Ethereum, and I think I was on a call with Suno's business, and we were talking. She was investing in Ethereum at the time. I'd never heard of it. I'm like, what is that? Because I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on actual stocks, right? So Ethereum, when we had our conversation, I'm gonna go back 1 month. If you guys aren't, you can follow us on our StreamYard. We have the windows up. So in the last month, Ethereum went from $1,300 to $1,600 in value. In the last 6 months, it went in September 19th, 2020. It was $385 per share, if you want to look at it that way. And now it's at $1,600. Okay, that's actual value. So to me, even if you don't believe in Bitcoin or blockchain and you're not really a fan of that, which is fine, you don't have to be. If you invested in this at $300, you'd have had $600 to show for it right now if you wanted to sell it tomorrow. And that trend is going to continue happening, but it's not going to be, it's only going to increase in value just because, again, as these vendors come online and as more folks are taking cryptocurrencies as a form of payment, the usage of it is going to now drive everything else. So it's really important that we kind of step outside of our comfort zone and get into the idea of knowing that just because we're not comfortable with it doesn't mean that it's still not happening. There was a gentleman, I was watching YouTube today, a gentleman, I think he's from South Asia, and he had mentioned that he believes that Bitcoin market will collapse and that everyone that has Bitcoins are going to lose their money, lose their shirt, all that other stuff, right? Now, the difference between Bitcoin and actual other currencies is that it's user to user, it's peer to peer. So it's not regulated by a central bank. It's not regulated by the Fed, like in the States, the Federal Reserve, we're just printing money. Like, it's not like that. The currency has to be mined for it to even exist. And because there's a limited supply, you don't just get access to changing the name of the game. Like, there are many different currencies in many different countries that are manipulated because the government wants to either, reduce the value of their money, or they want to pay off debt. And if they have a lot of debt outstanding, they want to liquidate their money so that their actual money is worth less. Like there's a lot of scammery that goes around, especially with the with the US and other countries like this. Like they utilize money and monetary policy to benefit themselves, right? Most banks do that, and you can see that every day if you're banking. With cryptocurrencies and with Bitcoin specifically, you don't have that. It's literally a peer-to-peer transaction. So if you have Bitcoin and I have Bitcoin, you and I can deal. If I'm doing financial literacy and you're doing haircuts, I can pay for your service with Bitcoin. You can pay for my service with Bitcoin together, you and I, right? Whereas if it's someone outside of our Bitcoin network and they can still pay me cash because I'll accept it, but I cannot converse with Bitcoins back and forth with them if they're not in the network. So it literally is user to user, and that's what keeps it safe because no one really has control over it by themselves individually. It's literally the collective that has control over it. And looking at the collective, we're looking at places that have, 117 ATMs in New York, like 130 in London. Like these are places that folks visit all the time. Did you even know that there was that much Bitcoin access? So all that to say this, I feel like when we're talking about cryptocurrency, we have to kind of take a stock in where we are right now and understand that no matter what we like or don't like, sometimes you've got to just take steps in the direction that the economy is moving. And the safety and security of crypto is based on it not being hacked, the security keys that you have if you own an account, and then making sure that, if you're going to invest in this and you're going to actually take this may not be something that happens tomorrow where you can go to the liquor store and get a bottle of vodka. It might take a couple of years for this, or even 10 years for this, but it's going to ramp up over time because it's already showing that it is. Like these stats aren't people are using this. 350,000 transactions take place on the Bitcoin network daily. 350,000 transactions. So to me, that's going to show us the truth. All right. So any questions about that so far? Because I want to kind of get out of the Bitcoin conversation real quick. If you guys have any questions about it, hold on, check. Mo, what's going on? How you doing? Tara, how are you? Tech 32, what up? Honest D, what's going on, brother? Notorious Will, what's up, man? JD, what's going on, brother? Alex, what's up? Yeah, we all wish we had Bitcoin in 2009. We'd be fine. We'd be straight if that was the case, for sure. That's crazy. So if you hacked so Kung Pao, if you get hacked and you have Bitcoin, yeah, you could lose that for sure. That's kind of the problem, and that's why we look at things from a standpoint of, okay, are you safe? Which crypto exchange do you recommend? Well, Tommy, so Tom just asked a question, which crypto exchange do I recommend? I don't have one to recommend right now because I'm new to the game when it comes to this. I think it's important that everyone knows, like, hey, know your limitations. For me, I'm a stocks, mutual funds. That's my tea. But seeing this and understanding that this market is growing, vendors are coming online. There are different countries, different cities that are actually taking up, using crypto as a form of exchange for services. That was what we were waiting for. And we had mentioned this before. Like if vendors and companies start accepting this, that's when we need to start making it a point to say, hey, what's your plan for crypto? What's your plan for that? Because if you don't have a plan, we might need to create one. So Tommy, I don't know which one to use, but I would say, listen, I'll be researching over the next couple of weeks. We'll have an intelligent conversation about it probably next week. All right. Okay, so folks, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think when I think of crypto and I think of where it's going, like there are so many different types of cryptocurrencies that exist right now. But again, the main players are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the two major dogs in the game. One is compared to gold, which is Bitcoin, the gold standard. Ethereum is the other one that's like considered like oil. And both of them are crypto, but they work in different ways. Bitcoin is finite. There's not any more left, but Ethereum is still created and being mined as we speak. And it has a certain amount of mines, certain amount of coins that are produced on a bi-weekly basis. I don't know the number. I think it's like 10 or something, but I could be wrong. I looked it up before. Let me see if it's maybe online. I can check how many Ethereum coins are mined a day. How many? Oh, here we go. You can always find the trusty internet. Will always help you. So based on mining hardware inputs provided, Ethereum can be mined per day 0.16684. Okay, so that's basically how many are mined per day. hash rate of 5,000 MHS's block reward is 2 Ethereum, and Ethereum difficulty of 178. Oh, I don't even know how big that is, but that's a gigantic number. Take to mine 1 Ethereum. So it takes 12 seconds to mine 1 Ethereum, just so you guys know. So like that's what I'm saying in reference to like Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't take 12 seconds to mine at all. Like right now, the algorithm gets more difficult the more people are in it, to the point where you can barely even get 1 Bitcoin mined. Whereas Ethereum, it's basically every 12 seconds, 1 Ethereum is mined. So they're going to have a lot of them going forward. And you can actually predict what they're going to do if you just look at how that mining rate is and just expand it out over the next, 20, 30 years, you can see. So how many Ethereum are left? As of 2017, there were about 96 million Ethereum in circulation. 5 new Ether are created in each block, meaning 5 Ether are created about every 14, 15 seconds. There's no cap to the Ethereum blockchain. The blockchain can continue at its pace forever. That is the major difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is continuously going to just be produced. And I think that long-term, that's going to have an impact on its actual value, just because, supply and demand. If you're constantly producing more Ethereum, its value isn't going to grow as quickly as a Bitcoin, which has a finite supply, So to me, that's where the two will differ. And that just means that the Bitcoins will be worth a lot more than the Ether coins in the long run. So yeah. All right. Any questions, folks? Because if not, we're going to go into stocks. All right, cool. All right. So recently, we had put together a list of micro purchases that we thought were going to be pretty cool. And actually, I used there was one of my friends in the UK actually asked me to assist them in just looking and reviewing some stocks, and I figured, why not share this as a way to actually show folks on Wealth Wednesday what's going on. So let me share with you a few stock symbols. And we're going to go from there. So the first one I'm going to share with you is I'm trying to think of some good ones here. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So the first one is going to be BitTrue. I'm looking for stock symbols not the same as what's in my notes. Let's go to. Okay. Hold on 1 second, folks. I got to pull up this. I've got to pull up my notepad. Basically, I sent it off and I need to make sure that I have access to it. So let me just go to one of my buddies here. Sorry for the delay, folks. Don't worry. The ticker symbols are coming. Just give me a minute. Here we go. And here we go. Okay, the first one is KOPN. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so KOPN. KOPN. All right, so if you're on our YouTube, you can kind of see what's going on our YouTube here. All right, so this stock came up, and one of the reasons why I looked at this was because, again, you know how we do this. So this is called Kopin Corporation. Let's go over to their profile. You gotta do this the way we always do it, right? Let's go over our profile. So Kopin Corporation invents, develops, manufactures, and sells components, subassembles, head-worn and handheld systems in the United States, Asia Pacific, Europe, and internationally. It offers miniature active matrix liquid crystals displays, liquid crystals on silicone displays, spatial light modulators, organic light emitting diode displays, application-specific integrated circuits, backlights, and optical lenses. The handset system, the company products are used in soldier, avionic, and military armored vehicles applications, 3D optical inspection systems, industrial public safety, and customer augmented virtual reality, wearable headsets, and training and simulations for military applications. So this is like a 3D, technology type of company, right? And when I look at things like this, we're looking at the pandemic. We're looking at a lot of like, look at NFL, right? They were doing a lot of their meetings on Zoom and walking through, doing walkthroughs via Zoom. There's going to be a lot of that, in my opinion, going forward, where folks are going to be utilizing different technologies to kind of keep socially distant. And along with testing, all of that's going to kind of come together. So this kind of piqued my interest a little bit, just because, again, it was in that same realm of what type of technologies are going to be utilized in the future. You know, we've seen a shift in how folks do face-to-face. And now it's literally, you know, FaceTime to FaceTime, you know, digitally. So I think that this is something that could potentially move. Now it has a short term as a downward trend, middle term is sideways, long term is an uptrend. So again, these are long-term types of investments. Yeah, so to keep this on your stocks app, I want you guys to kind of follow some of the things that I'm following, because I want to see if these things will pop off. The next one I want you to look at is something called COWI. COWI. Now this is what I call a micro stock. All right. So this stock is selling for less than a penny, right? Now, why am I looking at this? I'm looking at this because, again, when you're looking at fractions of a percent or fractions of a cent, all of this is still volume, regardless of how much of these you're buying. So let's say, for example, this same stock, if you're looking at our chart, so Coreware, let's go to what they are so you guys can actually know what they do. So Coreware, through its subsidiary Coreware Technologies, delivers custom engineering services and hardware and software products in North America and Europe. It offers research and development engineering services, business processes, workflow services, software architecture, design and development services, content management services, consoles, PC, and online game production. So you see, again, we're looking at folks who are working from home, having Zoom meetings. A lot of applications will be built on that system of just online, home, network, back and forth. Customer to deploy and develop robotic solutions, as well as assist the hardware developers with physical mounting spaces, ports, sensors, communication devices. CoreRobot Spark mobile robotics platform runs on Linux, Windows 10 operating system. Through its subsidiaries, Coreware Robotics Solutions, it offers mobile robotics, Internet of Things products, solutions, and services. So again, this is basically another tech company that, again, we're looking at. And at these micro prices, you could literally buy 1,000 shares of this and just walk away. I don't even think you'd have spent $1, or you'd probably have spent like $1 to buy 1,000 shares of this. So those are the types of things that I'm like, you could literally get 1,000 shares for spending $1 on something like this. And if this stock grows from being a micro stock to literally being, even if it's a penny stock, let's say it's selling for $2 or $3, you've made a substantial killing. And that's the thing, the percentages don't change. Like this stock was up 14% today, and it went up by 0.002 of a cent, fraction of a cent, right? But that's still 14%. So to me, that's kind of what you're looking at. The market did 0.17% today. This stock did 14%. So again, it's a very tiny stock. Doesn't have, you know, it's not in its space yet. But again, software is going to be what's happening over the next, you know, during this pandemic. Companies that do a lot of things remotely, they're going to be utilizing companies like this. So that was another one that kind of piqued my interest. And I'll give you one more. XXII. This one actually stood out to me as well. XXII. Okay, and again, it's moving slowly but surely. But let's look at their 6-month chart. So you know how we like our growth charts. They got to look a certain way. If you're showing me that you're rising like a, you know, nice little surf, then I'm gonna like that. But let's go about their short term is lateral, their middle long term is up. Their market cap is 3.82. Which, oh, sorry, market cap is 555 million. So again, very small company, right? Their stocks are what, $4 a piece, went up by 4.7% today. Okay, cool. Let's look at what they are, because you're hearing it, but you need to know what they are, right? So 22nd Century Group is a plant biotech company providing technology that allows to alter the level of nicotine and other nicotine alkaloids in tobacco plants and cannabinoids. Hope you're seeing that. In hemp/cannabis plants through genetic engineering and plant breeding. The company offers Spectrum Research cigarettes for the use in independent clinical studies, and very low nicotine content tobacco cigarettes under the Moonlight and Moonlight Menthol brands. It's also involved in contract manufacturing businesses for third-party branded tobacco products. The company has strategic research and development agreement with KeyGene NV to develop hemp/cannabis plants for medical, therapeutic, and agricultural uses, as well as other applications. 22nd Group was founded in 1998. It's headquartered in Williamsville, New York. What did I just read, right? So they're in the cannabis space, but they're not directly in it, but they're in it. It's companies like this that I want you to think to look for. Like, you've got to find these ones, because again, at a $4 entry, right? It went up by 18 cents today, which isn't a big deal, but let's look at the chart. Let me open up my screen here so I can see the chart. All right. So, what is up here? The MACD is on here. So you can just see it's, I'm going to go back to the other summary here. I like this chart better. So we go back 6 months. You see what that is going back 1 month. Again, a very slow and steady stream. And something like this, where this is in the cannabis space, but it's an indirect supplier. This is the kind of company that if you have in your portfolio, if you're doing the cannabis stocks and you got them in your portfolio, and then you start looking at companies like this to kind of round out your portfolio, this is how you do it. Really, just by finding someone who's going to be working with those players in that industry, you're going to make a killing doing that. Similarly with beverages, I want you to think about which beverage companies are going to be looking at getting cannabinoids into their beer, into their sodas, into their drinks, their beverages, their teas. You need to find those companies and literally start investing in them now, because this is the time to buy those things. The prices are relatively cheap, and this one is what, $4? So if you had bought this stock back in January, it was what, $2.67. Now it's $4. So it's almost gone up by almost double, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's since January. That's only a month and a half. If we go back further, we go back our 6 months. Well, again, September before. Let's go back to when Biden won. So November 5th, right? November 3rd. In November, after the election, when the Democrats won, the stock price was 69 cents in November. Now it's priced at $4. So it's companies like this that I am going to jump double feet in, because one, they're connected to the right industry. Two, their price point is beautiful. I can do $4 all day. And three, the amount of growth that's happened in a very short period of time shows me that even if this trend isn't one that is going to be as great as it was over the last 2 months, let's say over the next 6 or 8 months it's doing this, I'm still fine with that. Because in that time, you're going to hopefully double your money, triple your money, quadruple your money for this price. Those are the stocks that I'm interested in. I'll be quite honest. I don't want to poo-poo on expensive stocks. I don't, because when you can buy a $4 stock that can double in the next 2 months or 3 months, you're sitting in a good space. And a lot of you who got into the cannabis stocks, like literally over the last week or 2 weeks, you missed out on the run. Because even something like Tilray, like literally Tilray, again, they did 12% today, which is cool. So I mean, that's just recapturing some of the losses that they had over the last 5 days. Again, they had a red chart for the last 5 days, but over the last 6 months, again, Tilray back before Biden. This is when you were buying these stocks. You needed to be buying them literally in hopes that, okay, if this president wins, these stocks are going to go up, right? So Tilray back in November 3rd, after the election, was trading at $6.62, right? And now they're trading at $27. Those are the growth patterns that I want you to take advantage of, right? I want you to get the 6 to 27. I want you to get that, because if you get that, your portfolio will grow by such an amount of numbers that you can then reallocate and say, okay, let me sell half of my shares and reinvest into something else, because now I have 5 times the amount of money that I had originally. That's really how this is supposed to work. And it only works, and it works a lot better with micro stocks than it does with stocks that already, made it. Look at Amazon right now. So this stock went from, again, in November till now, $6 to $27, which is why even when the Reddit guys came in, ran the stock up to, $63 and it dropped back down to 27, 37. Yeah. If you were there to sell it at that time, good for you. I would have just been, okay, I'm gonna keep buying. As it was going down, I'd keep buying. As it bottomed out at $29, I'm keep buying. Okay, it went up to 34, bottom back down at 29. It's in a downtrend, which is fine. Just keep buying, because this industry is now opening up. New Jersey just passed a law when it comes to cannabis, right? Making that legal. So you've got to see all of these things lining up, and you don't want to be there when it's already done. Like, you've got to get there before. So I want to encourage you, don't be afraid of the Reddit folks. When they come in, they come out. That's fine. Your plan doesn't change. Our plan is a 4 to 5 year window. That's what we have. All of these are opportunities to buy more stocks. That's all it is. Because I don't want you to look at me 6 months from now and say, well, Benaj, why didn't you tell me 6 months ago to lock up more Tilray because it was $27 and now it's 85. And I'm not saying that that's the price it's going to go to. It can go to 40. It can go to whatever it's going to go to. But you want to go back 6 months from now and say, well, why didn't you tell me it was going to go to this number? And I'm going to say, well, I did. So I'm going to mark this down in my book so that y'all know. Continue to invest in this industry. It's growing from 30 billion to 100+ billion in the next 3 years. You need to be in these companies. A friend of mine, she recently invested in Afia. So let's look at them. I don't know how this got into the cannabis space, but that's just how things go with me. Like, you got to talk about what's relevant, right? So this company 6 months ago, I'm going to go back to November 3rd. We're going to do it, same thing. November 3rd, company was trading at $4.99. Okay. Ticker symbol APHA, another cannabis stock. Again, very well run. They're going to be in a merger very soon, or are merging very soon. Their outlook is looking amazing. They're looking to get into the beverage game as well. Like, this is what you want to look at. Like, these are the kinds of companies that are going to continue to do this. From $4.99, it grew to $20. Let's look at another one, Canopy. Right? Canopy is one of the larger cannabis companies, and its stock price is only $36 right now, which is pretty interesting. So over the last 6 months, I'll do the same thing. So again, this is CGC is their ticker symbol. So November 3rd, we're going to go back to all of these. And this is why I'm saying, as an industry, just remember, like, they're all going to move. Now, some will move by different numbers, and this is why I'm highlighting this right now. So CGC, Canopy Growth Corporation, November 3rd, their stock price was $20.46. Okay? Right now, they're trading at $35.60. Do you notice that growth is not the same as the first two that we mentioned? It's not the same as APHA. It's not the same as Tilray. Why is that? Why are these other stocks growing from $6 to 20, or from, why are they making such a move? And this only went up by $15. So it didn't even double yet, right? Whereas the other ones went up by 5 times. That's the difference. The difference is that even though the entire industry will grow, there are certain players in the industry that will grow better than others. And you have to understand that even though you're in the industry, you're not going to always get the same rates of return, because some of these companies are a little bit bigger and they may take a little bit longer to maneuver. Some of them aren't positioned as well as others to grow out of the small cap to a large cap situation. Now, there's a website that you can go to that will actually show you the market cap of all of these cannabis stocks. So they'll go to cannabis. Okay, so there it is, Cannabis Market Cap IO. Right. So if you're looking at our YouTube, you'll be able to see what I'm looking at here. So this is the website's called cannabismarketcap.io, and it literally lists the top 100 cannabis stocks right now based on market cap. Okay, so right now the largest one is Weed. All right, and it is a ticker symbol WEED, market cap of $16 billion, followed by ACB, SMG, Cura, GTII, and it goes down and down and down. And some of these are moving higher than others. This is a really cool tool for you to use to kind of figure out which cannabis stocks you can kind of look at investing in. And if you look to the right on there, it has the market cap, the current price, the volume of how many trades are going, and then the amount of shares outstanding, and then the change in price intraday. So some of them have grown by 11%, some have only grown by 0.43%. Some have grown by 5%, others by 24%. So you're seeing that even though they're all in the same cannabis space, they're all growing at different rates. Tilray did 40%. Like, that's kind of why I'm saying it's important for you to really look through these lists and determine, one, what's your price point? What do you want to get in at? But two, what are these companies' movement like? Some are moving much faster than others and higher than others. And that's going to be the name of the game. In this industry, there's going to be a lot of consolidation. Some of these companies are going to fail and be purchased by bigger versions. Like, that's going to happen over the next 3 years. So just get involved. Even if your company gets bought by another one, you're going to get shares of the new company. So don't ever feel like your money is ever wasted. But just know that if your company got bought, chances are it needed to be purchased. Like, it wasn't really performing as well as it should. All right. So any questions about that? Let me go into the chat. I've just been talking and I want to make sure that I'm looking in and out. So if you get hacked, you lose your Bitcoin. Yes. Bitcoin has no FDIC. No, it doesn't. And again, most stocks, when you're investing at your own risk. So you're investing in stocks, they're saying that there's no guarantee that your money will be there tomorrow. If a stock collapses and you lose all your money, that is a stock market. It is not a safe place, but it is that's just the risk that you take when you're investing. So that's just a part of that. Kurt, what's going on, brother? Rob, what's up, sir? Johnny Boy, what's going on? Amoy, how are you? Hey, sis, what's going on, Chen? Dimple Deluxe, what's going on, Toria? Darkened, what's up? VR applications. Okay, hey, I asked a question on YouTube. Okay, let me check you out. Question on YouTube. I do not see your question. Want to list your question? Hey, Black Advantage Guard, can you list your question here? Because I can't see it on the YouTube right now. I don't know why it's not popping up for me. Usually it does on StreamYard. So actually, let me see. Yeah, I'm looking at comments and I don't see any right now. No private chats. So yeah, just list your question in here and I can answer it here. Ticker symbol. Kung Pao, did you get the ticker symbol on that one? Which ticker symbol are you looking for? Which one? So the ticker symbols I mentioned recently were, I'll go back into which ones I mentioned. I mentioned CGC, which is Canopy Growth. That was the larger cannabis growing company that, again, it's in the same space, but it's not going well. Let me just go back. Another one that I mentioned was APHA, Afria. That's another cannabis stock. Before that, I mentioned Tilray, TLRY. Before that, I mentioned XXII. And that is 22nd Century Group Inc. And they're in the cannabis space as well. Yeah. So those are the ones that I mentioned. Hopefully. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. All right. Excellent. All right. So we got 6 minutes left. Again, just to kind of recap, we were talking about cannabis stocks. We were talking about, cryptocurrencies. We went in talking about their stats. I'll give it to you one more time. So again, Bitcoin was created in 2008, started being mined in 2009. And January 3rd, 2009, the first Bitcoin blockchain was mined. January 12th, the first Bitcoin transaction took place. Ever since then, it's been being mined ever since. The total number of Bitcoins has exceeded 18.3 million. 4 million Bitcoins are lost forever due to the death of an owner. 1 million has been lost due to cyber theft, leaving only a total number of Bitcoins in circulation of 13 million Bitcoins currently. There are 350,000 transactions taking place on Bitcoin networks daily. Globally, we have 7,722 Bitcoin ATMs around the world. Coinbase exchanges have over 30 million users. 200 million Bitcoin wallets are in existence today. And in 2041, all Bitcoins will be completely mined at that point. And there's no talk about increasing the amount of Bitcoins available. To do that, you have to change the source code. And that's a whole different situation. So most likely it may not happen. But if it does, it's going to be something that all of the users are going to have to agree upon. And that's the thing, cryptocurrencies are not regulated by FDIC or by a bank or a nation. It is peer-to-peer currencies. So if I have it and you don't have it, we can't have a transaction. If we both have it, then we can, it's like a barter system, but with a coin as the basis. All right. We talked about the countries and the cities that have these ATMs from New York, San Fran, Tampa, Vancouver, Slovenia, Tel Aviv, Buenos Aires, Zurich, Amsterdam, London, Malta. And Malta is actually the first island to regulate cryptocurrency and giving out licenses as of November of 2018. So this stuff is happening now. And I mean, for us who aren't aware of it, just know we need to get aware of what's happening around us. That way we can kind of start planning for it. There are still other, digital currencies that are coming out now that we can get invest in at a low rate. If you can buy Bitcoin because you have that kind of money, then that's great. But if you can't, you can definitely get into some of the smaller coins because again, as one moves, all will move. And the value of the other ones will be less than Bitcoin, which is fine. It's a golden standard. But something like Ether or Ethereum, that's a very good one to get into now. It's not crazy, but again, the platform is going to be one that a lot of users will be building their peer-to-peer transactions off of. So it's something to definitely look into further. And we'll definitely probably have another conversation about this once I get some more data about it. But again, like I said, complete transparency, I don't own a coin, a Bitcoin, of any sort of cryptocurrency at this moment. I own stocks, I own mutual funds, I own bonds. I do not own cryptocurrency. And the reason for that is because I can sell my stocks right now and buy a house. So I kind of wanted that to be my thing. But now after my research, it's becoming clear that we all need to start owning crypto at some point because it's going to become a way of creating not only wealth for us, but for our next generation. And look at it this way, right? Let's say that the stock market crashes, right? If that happens, crypto markets will still exist. Because again, it's peer-to-peer. It has nothing to do with the market. Like the market can be whatever it is. As long as you and I both have the same cryptocurrency, we're still in business. Even if the value of the currency goes down to nothing, you and I can still trade that. If it goes to nothing on the stock market, it'll still have a value peer-to-peer regardless. If the market falls from 50,000 down to 25,000, it'll still have a value. And over time, that value will increase because there'll be just a supply and demand issue. More places will be accepting it. And now it's like, okay, I want to get me some Bitcoin. Where do I find it? So to me, it might make sense for us to start looking at it. As these vendors are coming online, we can't run from the future. And no matter what happens, if the market crashes, everything's going to crash anyway. So that's one thing. But the reason why I feel like crypto is still going to be around is because, again, it's not as impacted by, monetary policy as other currencies exist currently. And there are other countries creating digital currencies for themselves. Like China has a digital yuan. Like they already have a digital currency that's used in their country right now. As other countries put that on and start doing that, it's going to change the entire monetary policy. So folks, that is it. That's all we got for today. All right, that's it. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up, DM me. What we're going to be doing next week, and we're having a new format where what we're going to do is for the first 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to talk current market conditions, market stocks. We're going to talk about what the strategy should be for that week going forward. And then we'll end with stocks as well. So we'll start with the first 5-10 minutes will be stock related. And then the last 5-10 will be stock related. That way, when you come in and you join up, you can get that information up front. Right now, the market is moving. It's very volatile. Just don't be scared. Don't be scared. Literally find the stocks that you have in your portfolio that have gone down in value and buy more of them right now. I'm telling you that that's the plan. You are a purchaser of investment instruments. That's what you're doing. So every time you get a chance to buy a stock at a cheap price, do that. Anytime the price goes down, do that. Buy more of them because in the long run, especially if you're in the right industry, it's going to serve you well in the long run. All right. And get comfortable with micro stocks. Get comfortable with ones that are going from a penny to $2. Like, trust me, that is another area where if you don't have a lot of money to invest, you have $50, you have $25, you can literally buy 3, 4, 5,000 shares of those little companies. And if they move from, 30 cents to $1, you've just made triple your money just like that. Just from 30 cents to $1, even if it moves from 2 pennies to 7 pennies, you've just tripled your money again. So like those are still viable stock options. And I think we shared one today. Just keep your eye pasted to that industry and to the stocks that are micro as well. They're not gonna harm you. I'll give you one more for the road. So this stock is called HCMC. It's the final stock I'll give you because I'm a nice guy. HCMC. And I want you to check out this price. HCMC. Okay. That price? It's a fraction of a penny, right? Well, let me go back 6 months. Look at that. 6-month chart. Back then, it was trading for a fraction of, so 0.0001. And now it's trading at 0.0028. So basically went from a penny to 28 pennies, if you want to look at it on a micro level. Okay? That is a gigantic jump. That is a gigantic jump. And it's little things like that if you don't know about, and again, do your research on this one. This is a new company. I'm not going to tell you what they do, but their ticker symbol is HCMC. And just remember that you can invest in things like this. It won't cost you much, but if they pop, you can literally have a $100,000 portfolio just by investing $200 into something like this. All right. So with that being said, we got to go. Instagram's going to cut us off. So folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If anything, please check out our website, www.theway.org. www.theway.com. And feel free to just check our content there and stay in tune with us because we're going to be doing some really cool stuff over the next couple of weeks when it comes to philanthropy. We got a couple of plans up our sleeve that we're going to share with you guys next week. So till then, stay safe, keep investing, don't be afraid. Make sure you put in your MACDs and your RSIs onto your moving averages, MACDs, your moving average and your RSIs, put them in your stock charts. And let's talk about it next week. All right, folks, take care. I'll see you guys then. Hey, okay. All right, adios, folks. And for our YouTube family, hopefully you guys can definitely take a look at something like this. Again, this is a micro stock and Healthier Choices, e-liquid vaporizers related products. The company operates through segments, natural and organic retail stores. Vape products and vaporizer better are battery powered products that enable users to inhale nicotine vapors through smoke, whatever. And again, remember where this is going. All of these folks are going into that naturopathic areas. And these guys provide prepared food, bread, baked goods, beverages, So they have multiple ways of making money. But that vape technology, I have a feeling that something's going to be nice about that in the long term. So that is it. So folks, appreciate you guys. We're going to shut off our YouTube now. So thank you so much for joining us. And again, like I said, if you haven't, visited our website, feel free to go to our website, check us out. This is, www.theway.com. That's how it's spelled with the accent. The link is in my bio. You can see our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram on there. Our YouTube lives are on there. And again, some of the podcasts that we currently have, we have a Puerto Rico Relief podcast. We've had Rob Tangson come in as a guest. Our mental health segment, our oil stock segment, philanthropy segment. So we have a lot of our segments there. A little bit about us, what we do, our podcast, who we are, a picture of us, my wife and I, meet the founders. So again, and this is our philanthropy section. So this is where you could definitely, give back. And again, we have a 48-hour challenge, which we're doing as well. But a lot of the folks that are donating towards our we're going to be doing a program for kids for financial literacy as well and how to trade stocks. So that's what all of the funds that we're collecting are going to be going towards, is creating that program. So if you'd like to donate, just click the button there and you can donate to our organization. So with that being said, that's all I have. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast, and we hope to see you guys next week. All right. Take care now. Adios.